The red carpet.
Hello.
Let's see. We're sitting here. This Tom Savini is here.
Hi.
Chris Romero is here.
Hello.
And George Romero is me. We're sitting watching the new transfer of Dawn of the Dead, which is, it's never looked this good, Tom. I mean, they've finally got the flesh tones balanced.
That's my brother.
Yeah. I used to love that red carpet.
That's my
right.
brother Cliff there.
That's Cliff.
The red carpet, just a single frame, signaled what I knew was going to happen. You know.
Molly.
Molly McCluskey.
Miss what?
Miss
what?
Molly from Romper Room. And there she is now.
Mm-hmm.
Guys in the crew are going crazy. Couple of them clone the coupon.
There's your brother again back there.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we're going to stand in here.
Well, we shot this at an actual little TV station. Where was this? PGH?
Ah, look at you, huh?
There's George.
There's
Look at
George.
that beard.
I think aren't you here too, Chris?
Yeah, I have a right there.
There's Chris.
There's Chris. Is Michael Gornick the only guy in Pittsburgh not in this movie?
Maybe. He never got in, did he? His voice was often in.
That's David Early. He was in a lot of George's movies.
Just watched him in Silence of the Lambs as a SWAT guy.
You're not running a talk show here, Mr. Berman. You can forget
Is that Dave Crawford? Is that right?
bullshit they want to hear. You're talking about abandoning every human code.
Galen Ross, I keep hearing about her from Tony Buba, that she's become a filmmaker and does a lot of documentaries. Yeah, and she's getting some awards.
We've had old information on the air for the last 12 hours.
We shot this, in one night, right?
I don't remember. I thought maybe one night. Maybe it was a couple of nights. I don't remember half of these things. There's Cliff Forrest again.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we rolled in there one night and we just
kept hitting on it. We were shooting all night. Well, most of this movie was made at night.
People aren't willing to accept your solutions, Doctor, and I, for one, don't blame them. Every dead body that is not exterminated becomes one of them. It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
And that makes me want a cigarette.
Yeah, George used to smoke then.
I smoked like wildly.
4 packs a day.
I was keeping the tobacco companies in business.
Terminated either by destroying the brain or severing the brain from the rest of the body.
It's very simple. That's all you have to do. Hey, there's Teddy Jack Lettieri in the back there.
Too rapidly. What the hell's going on? Who killed those supers? Darren, who told you to kill those supers?
Nobody. I killed them. They're out of state. You know you're on the air?
See, I mean, everybody. That was Liz Augustine, the lighting.
Oh, that's
wife,
right.
What was it? Augie Doggy.
Augie.
Everybody had a nickname.
And that guy, Dan, was a friend of mine, a bartender in New York at a place I used to work at.
Well, there's a lot of zombies in here that were friends of yours from New York, I think.
Yes, yeah. Jay
I
Stover.
think everybody we ever knew.
Scott, is that Tom Dubinsky there?
I didn't see it.
Bent over the desk. Well, Scott Reininger, I first met Scott. He was tending bar at that same restaurant, a restaurant called Lady Astor's in New York. Then afterwards, everyone went up there and got jobs there. John Amplis got a job there.
You mean every time somebody from Pittsburgh went to New York to
Yeah.
make it, they went right to
Lady Astor's.
David Emke worked there for years, I think.
Right.
They eat their victims. You understand that, Mr. Berman? That's what keeps them going. If we'd listened, if we dealt with this phenomenon properly, without emotion, it wouldn't have come to this. There is a martial law.
I like this beginning. I think it really holds together.
I was just going to say, I haven't seen this in so long, and it's just clicking and moving. And
Well, the interesting thing is to see it without the Goblin music. I mean, I haven't seen it without the Goblin for
That was Donna Siegel. Which is
But it's, you know, just looking back, it really sets the story up well. I mean, really, it's very...
Yeah, this is sort of last week.
Nice touch. Well, wait, what do you mean you haven't seen it without the Goblin music? Because
This is not the Goblin. This is the library music. This is not the track that was released in theaters.
oh,
This is all library. Remember, this had that boom, 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 Goblin music.
no, I have. This is what I have.
That's not what I have.
Well, you guys must have given me or something a copy from way back.
Maybe, I don't know.
Stephen, we can't. We've got.
So the disc is going to have the library music.
9 p.m. All right.
Stephen, we can't. We've got.
We've got to nothing, Fran. We've got to survive. Somebody's got to survive. Now, you be upstairs at 9 o'clock and don't make me come looking for you.
I don't like his attitude.
By midnight anyway. The emergency networks are taking over. Our responsibility is finished.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, now you can recognize the good old library music. I should maybe clear up that issue about what's on the. Or is that not going to? I know I've been credited as doing this music. I had nothing to do with it except picking it out of a library.
I'm picking little cuts, putting it together.
No, but apparently somebody insisted that it's on the box that music by George Romero.
Oh,
So that's what it says on there. I know. I remember humming a lot while we were shooting. But...
This actor, Scott Reiniger, I went to college with him at Rollins College, and he's still a friend today. Great guy.
Jim Baffico.
Jim Baffico. Willie. This guy was a pro football player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was he a Buffalo Bill?
Yeah, yeah.
How the hell come we stick these low-life bastards in these big-ass fancy hotels anyway? Shit, man, this is better than I got. Hey, you ain't gonna talk them out of here. You gotta blow
This,
them out.
where this is being shot, is the roof of the building where George had his offices, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Joe Shelby.
And John Amplis right behind him.
Yeah, John Amplis.
Ah, the first bloodletting.
I can remember you rigging all these squibs, Tom.
I remember that. It was a fishing line and a sewing button.
But at least we weren't freezing this time, right?
Nope.
This was before it got really cold.
Yeah, we shot this really early
That's
on.
how long the shoot was. We
yeah.
went through seasons.
2 seasons.
This might have been one of the first scenes we shot.
It might have been.
Yeah, because we had the location.
Oh, he set himself up for that.
Uh-huh. Here's my chest. Ooh, that was Joe Shelby.
That was Joe? He's back?
Yeah.
As himself.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Oh, John Amplis. As Che Guevara.
Right.
Oh. Ah.
That was a big... I remember that stunt.
Well, he didn't really fall very far.
No.
No. It was all a big deal, though.
Right.
Didn't this roof didn't it catch fire at some point in the...
Well, when we were I think when we were doing the interiors of the apartment, you know, it was a couple of buildings down from the old office building.
Oh.
And I think we had a fire then, because we had those gas heaters, remember?
Oh.
I can remember the sequence. This whole building, it was an abandoned building, and there was no heat.
I remember the basement. That's where
And we were
all
all
were, yeah.
so cold, and we rented those gas heaters, and everybody would take turns going out and putting their hands by them. But everybody cooperated so well on this. All those people just hung out. Oh, that was I remember that sequence.
And that was a real shotgun, right?
Oh, yeah. We took a double barrel shotgun and blasted a head. We filled it with anything we could find from the craft service table. You know, shrimp dip, salad,
And
beans.
actually shot it with a real shotgun.
Yeah.
I can remember in production, this was the first time we had to really deal with crowd control. There were so many people outside. Remember how everybody was so cooperative.
You mean just onlookers?
Onlookers, and a lot of these extras were all people that lived from the neighborhood there.
Ah.
And I can remember just having them all stand outside and then come up, all these kids you see around here.
Yeah. I remember the bites here. I thought they blew me away, Tom, when you did those.
Thanks. Oh, there's that dummy. Those now are famous props in the... in frame. Some of them in Bob Michelucci's office.
Is that right?
Yeah. John Rice.
Shoot it, man. Shoot it in the head.
These were real amputees we had in the basement.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting here getting into the movie, not even thinking about
yeah,
stuff to talk about. Ah, there's the phone. You are here in the living room.
Yes, and I will now excuse myself for a few minutes.
Yeah, this was just an experiment. We had no idea, because it was up to the actor to bite where we told her to bite.
Right.
Had no idea what it would look like. Yeah.
They were both great.
Real arms, fake. Foam latex.
Foam latex on top of
a bite hole.
Of a hole, yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I think that last one on the arm, the scream, I think she really screamed because he really bit flesh back there.
Oh, he actually bit her?
One of my memories, yeah. But he actually took a chunk out of the foam.
I didn't remember that, but...
And the blood, I never liked. It was my first time using a lot of blood in a movie, really. And to me, it looked like melted crayons. You know, it was a 3M blood from Alcon Company in New York. This is before we used the Dick Smith formula, which is, the best blood in movies. And it depended where you were. In the mall, sometimes it looked pretty good. But there's been a lot of conversation about this stuff. I've heard that it helped the fantasy element to keep you... Because some of it's pretty gross,
Yeah.
So, but it kept, since the blood looked that way, it's like, well, it was almost not real.
Yeah, comic booky.
Yeah.
I mean, it did have that. I think it did help to...
Oh, that's our dog Buster.
That's his comment about this scene.
I think the whole mall made the whole thing comic booky, too. I mean, I think that...
Well, it's all big, it's all bigger than life. And
well, the mall thing, that was like everyone's fantasy, to be alone in a mall, and all that stuff is still there. And
yeah,
I mean, I think that's a strong point about the film. I think everybody identify with those people.
Yeah,
I'd live. I mean, they would just hold up and live somewhere, an endless store. Why doesn't Scott answer the phone?
Right. That's our phone ringing. I thought they were unplugged. They were unplugged, but they're ringing?
It's only in George Romero's house.
Uh-oh, here comes Jesse Del Grey.
Okay, and Chris just cut the phone lines. If it rings now, then...
Great, then we know that there's
something going on.
Some forces at work.
No, please. Just let me pass. I go up the 7th floor to find my sister. Just let me pass. The people of 107 will do what you wish now.
Just Del Grey. I never thought I'd ever be making movies or working in theater or anything. I started studying painting and design, and while I was doing that, I would do these little theater company things down at the YMCA, and Jess was a sort of lived around the YMCA, kind of a homeless guy, but he would work in the theater there, and he was always interested in theater, and he was also active in civic things. And not an actor at all, just one of those guys that hung around the fringes of things. Nice guy.
Oh, I remember that line he said. You made him do it. He had a real hard time getting that line.
Yeah.
He has such a great face.
Well, this is where you say, is that the scene where there's an extra beat in Dario's version? He had them bang the boards down, and I didn't realize that Dario made so many substantial editing changes. Do you know that, Tom?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
This is a really clean transfer. It's the best looking transfer. I mean, the color is more balanced than it was in the theatrical print.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, I've never seen that so full of detail.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
that was the Pizza Head guy.
Many people in this room were real amputees that wanted to do this.
I know this. You know, when he's reacting in a sickening way to this stuff, it's almost like you had to, because that gas heaters you were talking about, and that food and the mortician's wax. I remember just didn't smell very nice down there.
No. Oops.
I always thought Scott and Ken had looked so great together, had such good strength.
Was that you, Tom?
Oh, yeah, probably. Here, have some strawberry milkshake.
Hey, there he is.
Oh, he was so handsome, that guy.
Robert?
Yeah.
Robert Williams?
Robert Williams.
I know he decided to pursue an acting career.
I fought him in Knight Riders on the Hacks.
That's right.
Yeah. Because I remember his face saying,
That's right.
Hacks.
Easy line to... I think we did have to dub it. Not because of his delivery, but because of the sound.
Mm.
Never dramatic enough, that gun barrel. It needed a
This
fisheye
sequence-
lens or something.
This is down on the south side, right? By the
Right. By the actual police dock, which inspired Striking Distance. But the little boats that you're going to see I think are the extent of the Pittsburgh River Patrol, right?
And not the wonderful
The Bruce Willis
$200,000 space vehicles. Okay, trivia. Who was that?
Really?
Lying there.
I didn't even remember that there was anyone lying there until...
Could you just lie here so we can drag this hose across
Right.
your back?
Who do you think it was?
Nick Mastandria.
Maybe. Or Tasso. Tasso is...
No, Tasso didn't show up till the mall.
Till the mall?
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Is he the one that sits in the fountain with all the coins? Is that Tasso?
No, he does a flip into the fountain, but unless you cut back later when he's counting change.
No, I think early on there's... Yeah, I can't tell who that is.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Well, I was just thinking how,
It really holds up.
a lot of years have gone by, and, you learn more every time you see a movie even, and I never noticed how the characters were introduced. Little subtly, and then wham, they come together and they're a team.
Well, what we really had the advantage of all of us being willing to just, put in these endless hours. I mean, because it has the energy. It has the energy of it has more shots than, a Bruce Willis movie,
But you couldn't do it because now it takes so long to set up the shots.
Right.
And,
Right.
Oh, Randy Kovic.
Randy
wasn't it?
Kovic?
Yeah.
Joe Pilato.
Well, it was Halloween for 3 months. Well, for me anyway,
Right.
that was my energy for it.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, it was everyone's energy, though. I mean, putting
A lot of people. Patrick McCluskey in the back there.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone has to take credit for that. I mean, because it was really keeping it together, working at night, and
it was
endlessly. It was a nightmare.
Absolutely grueling. I mean, I can remember. Well, we were up all night, every night for months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, had we had kids or tried to function as a family, it just would have been impossible.
Yeah. But the number of shots and so forth, I mean, is really what gives it the energy. And
yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just master and punch in. It's look at
a million shots.
You look at the angles too; they're always different.
Yeah.
And Mike was really pulling it off. I mean, I remember those guys came over when Dario and the boys came over from the Italians. There was 40 setups. They were surprised. They were blown away by that.
Well, it's funny. You look back on does blow you away when you realize when you have these big crews now how long it takes to organize everything and move them around.
I think these gas pumps here came from WQED. It's the first time we worked with a Cletus Anderson prop.
Ah. So that was the scene that was cut, wasn't it? In the theater?
You guys okay?
It was cut down.
Uh-huh.
His name's Peter. He's all right. Come on, let's go.
Hey, you guys! You better get a move on. There's a report out the doc's been knocked out.
Right, the left spot.
We can be upstairs.
A little harder on the fuel, but we'll be okay.
Hey, you got any cigarettes?
You guys got cigarettes?
No,
And he does.
Everybody.
Where you headed?
Lights
Downriver.
up.
We got an idea. Maybe we can make it to the island. What island? Any island. What about you? Where you headed? Straight up.
I get it.
Now, did you direct him to act like that?
Huh?
Did you tell him to do that?
Well, I told him to be a little goofy, but he was pretty goofy.
Because Randy's a really good actor.
He's a fight director now.
Yeah.
He has his own show he travels with, too, that all sorts of improv stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
There it is, the Pittsburgh River Patrol.
Yep. The whole fleet, isn't it?
Next wife. You, Peter? Some brothers.
Here's our background material.
How did you do that?
Everyone says that. They did that every night. They shut those lights off, and we would get us. They called us to give us a signal. They called us and said, "Okay, we're going to do it," and then we just had the chopper take off right there.
Oh, I don't remember. I remember volunteering to fall in the river, but it was really cold. He says, "No,
Pass.
we'll just throw something in,
Well, cold, and there. I don't know if there may have been other bodies in there. Remember, we were doing this in some hangar somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Tom, you probably weren't there for any of these scenes because you were
I was
ready for that.
I was somewhere because I remember you did a daytime scene in the helicopter that I was in the hangar somewhere between Scott and I think it was Scott and David.
I can remember those kids out there for hours just taking that light off and on outside.
Right. Poor man's process. Now there's Goblin music. Well, I can't imagine if this was the library track. I don't remember when we would have ever added.
Thrown some Goblin in.
See, I thought my memory was that Dario sent you some of this and you put it in right before it came out.
Right.
No, right before it came out. When the movie was released, it was all Goblin. Not all Goblin, but it was largely a lot of Goblin music in it. But I must have just used this as.
Oh, this was a big event. I can remember this. Zilla coordinating this, trying to get all the National Guard, all the people to come out for this, and we got all their vehicles. That was a big production scene for us.
Yeah.
Everybody cooperated too.
We always got a lot of real cooperation from people for these things. I mean, the people were willing to come out and be zombies and stand out in the freezing cold and wear makeup for 12 hours.
Well, if you're...
Oh, and they were willing to stay up all night. But I think Tom was right. It was like a party for everyone as far as the Halloween aspect.
Well, also, if you're born in Pittsburgh, one of the things is to grow up and be a zombie in one of the Dead movies. You know?
Got to make another one, Tom.
Oh, you know, I was asked that question a million times at this convention. Is there another Dead movie?
Well, we should do it. If we could ever get all the minds and heads together on it.
Well, there's a script out called Twilight of the Dead. Has it gotten your way yet?
Yeah, I saw it. But I mean, you know, it's...
Well, I don't know if it's any good. I haven't read it, but just...
Well, I would want to write it, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Did you do that?
No. No.
Gary Zeller, right?
Gary Zeller.
Was that a Gary Zeller?
You know,
I always forget who did what.
Gary Zeller, you know, isn't he the guy that developed the itty bitty nightlight?
His brother.
Oh, his brother.
His brother made a fortune off that, yeah.
But Gary did Zell Gel or something?
Yeah, the stunt show.
I could never figure out, you were just talking about this earlier, why Dario cut this out.
The helicopter scene?
Yeah.
Really?
Of the European version, yeah. I don't know whether he thought it was silly or...
Wow, this is the big effect. How could they do this?
This gets applause.
I know.
In the movie theaters. Oh, that squarehead. See, no. This is a friend of mine, Jim Crud, who had a kind of a low forehead, and I wanted to find somebody with a low forehead so when you build it up, it doesn't look, you know, out of proportion. And it was round, but I don't know, when the hair went on, he looked square, you know.
Yeah.
Frankenstein head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was certainly round. And
it's still, no one sees it coming. I mean, you know, people that haven't...
Well, he does look like he has a pretty long head.
yeah, for a guy with a short forehead. God, it's so primitive, the techniques we used back then. We actually had Gary Zeller run and yank the head off, you know, and we're down below pumping blood up his legs.
With fish line or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what was this, in the middle of the night or something? We probably were running out of daylight there for that shot.
The shot or the helicopter?
No, the shot right there of him at the doorway where it was so dark and blue outside. Problem is some of these sound effects.
Bunch of junk.
So I do think in the final release we got some better sound effects. Although I noticed the guns don't sound too bad. I mean, they're not great, but right as I say that, it's a lousy gun.
Well, you know, I remember what you did here. Yeah, the machine guns weren't working. They weren't like putting holes in the door.
Right.
You said cut. You walked up with a screwdriver, went, stabbed it, and said roll. Stop. You stabbed it, said roll again.
Right.
And you animated. You animated the holes in the door.
Well, you can see the cuts, though. I always see them.
Well, but, you know, it was a choice of waiting 5 hours, you know.
Right.
And you did the shot in like 15 seconds.
Right. It was supposed to be the air gun, the pellets, or what do you call it?
Yeah, there's a whole string of air rifles that were firing, and they went, boop, boop, boop. I think this is Bomba's dad.
Yeah, Nick Taller's dad. I think so. Bomba, all the crew guys. Oh, that was a bad shot, Stephen. He's a klutz.
But it looked like all he could do, you know.
Yeah, see the cuts?
Yeah.
You see the paper move?
Yeah, yeah.
What a drag.
Here comes Jim.
It's the old Michael Powell technique.
Stand up closer to the blade. Thank you. Boy. How'd they do that?
They're pretty dumb. Well, I don't know. We wound up animating didn't we wind up animating a blade there?
Oh, the blade, yeah, was certainly animated. It wasn't there.
But is it there on this transfer? I mean, I'm trying to figure out which footage.
Ah, my niece. That's my niece and nephew.
Hey, this is a family operation.
We wouldn't do this to kids unless they were Savini's relatives.
Stand-ins.
That's all. Whenever we needed kids or dogs or pets or whatever, and someone would always have to bring one in because we wouldn't have the nerve to ask anyone to hire.
Oh, but you made them famous. They always talk about that scene, and they were like in their 30s now, I think.
Well, it's like Kyra Schoen from the original Night of the Living Dead, the little girl from that.
Yeah. Well, she was there in that.
She's still around, yeah.
Yeah, the Green Tree show recently.
She actually has the courage to come around to these conventions.
This guy's a model kid too now.
Well,
Is he?
his head is on so many of the photos. That you know, the shot.
Well, that basically is the head that is supposed to be the logo head, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Was that decided?
That was the
No, you just
later.
Oh,
I mean,
what?
you didn't decide to use that guy's head for an image.
No, that was way later when they were
Oh.
designing posters.
I thought
that,
you were saying
that one where he falls. I don't know how that. I mean, it's so clear that he just falls onto the table from someone.
That was something you just said. Can we get somebody real ugly? And I think we did him in like half an hour or so. And it's just wax.
But we couldn't put a squib on him, right? Because he was bald, or there was.
No, you had a squib on him on the section of the clothing. I think.
On the chest.
It was covering his chest. Yeah.
But you never see him get shot.
Oh, the head? No.
Yeah, he just sort of falls on the table.
And now we could do that so easily.
Tom, how big was your crew on this? Do you remember?
Oh, it was Tom.
Well,
Tom.
in the mall on Big Zombie days, we would hire. In fact, Joe Pilato was even one of the guys in the crew. I think we paid 6 guys $25 for an assembly line, but it was me.
Yeah.
And then
just you.
I brought Tasso in from school in the mall after we were there for a while,
Right.
And he started to do stunts, and as well as help with the makeup.
We're getting out of here fine. Just as long as
That assembly line was unbelievable. People sitting there, down there. We'd set them up with TVs and video cassettes and stuff. And then they'd get fed, right? We feed them.
I remember there was a big TV in the auditorium, the community room at the Monroeville Mall. Night of the Living Dead was playing almost always.
Right. Well, I remember sitting, writing this thing. We wrote it. It was Dario Argento who really made the deal possible, and said he wanted to, do a sequel. And Chris and I actually went to Rome. We were there for about a month, and I was writing it. We were in this. They put us in. Dario put us in this little apartment building, and man, one night there was a gun battle outside our window. One night, a marching band came by at like 3 a.m. in a driving rainstorm, and they were practicing for an upcoming parade a couple of days later. So it was like this surreal life that we had there. And I'm writing this thing, and I write this shopping mall in, and we knew the people that owned the mall, but we hadn't even asked them if we could use it.
Yeah, I thought maybe you asked them.
No, we hadn't asked them yet. And Chris is saying, "You're crazy. You can't,
They say, "What do you think you are, MGM?"
Some of these scenes on paper looked, how are you going to ever pull this off?
I'll never forget when you wrote that truck sequence. I said, "George, that's absolutely impossible." And there it all is.
And more. I mean, it may be true.
Well, more again because of the energy. I mean, you were creating stuff on the fly. I would say to Tom, we'd show up to start the shoot some evening, and I'd say, "Well, what can we do now, Tom?"
Well, can we? I don't know, cop an umbrella and a zombie's ear, and that would evolve into the screwdriver and Harrison's ear,
Right.
But that's why it was Halloween for me, because I would show up, would do the makeup on these people, and then put costumes on and be in the movie,
Right.
and then put a zombie's costume on and do a stunt. It was like we were always doing something fun.
Well, you know what I think, though, is we were all innocent enough to not be inhibited about what was right or what was wrong, or worry.
Worry
you
about
just
what
did it. know.
Well, and you have to say Richard really let us do what we wanted to do. Basically, I mean, he wasn't, he was not the kind of producer that was, checking the.
You never really cared. You never came out to watch. Just.
let us have our field day, and so did most of the other. And in the end, we were very lucky to find a distributor that put the movie out. You know, without. So.
What are they doing? Why did they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory.
Yes, these lines are oft quoted.
Really?
This is an important place in their lives.
Hey, look at this.
That's the crawl space. We did that downtown.
Yeah, this is just a box on the roof they're looking in,
right,
with Michael in it, I guess, you know, and then.
How do we get down there?
I can remember actually looking in those boxes. Those are real surplus, Army surplus stuff, and it's just to think if you really had to stay alive on that stuff, I mean, you'd really be in trouble.
Now, was that a sugar glass effect, or was that real? Right? You don't remember?
I don't know.
I know occasionally we would resort to the real stuff. Well, you're the one that had to drive through the. Did you go through the sugar glass on a motorbike?
The 3-inch thick.
The 3-inch thick.
I remember. I tell people the story.
I remember that.
I tell people the story. I put all these pads on to drive the motorcycle through this glass that these guys had just built in the mall, and the only padding I didn't have was on this knee. And that's the only place that got hurt because it was like bouncing off a wall. I think if it wasn't for the motorcycle, it would have never broken.
Wouldn't have broken it.
But I tell the story about how you, in your office, had a huge piece of that glass and say, "Hey, look at this piece of Breakaway glass," and you would bang it on your desk with all your might. It was like a blade, a tempered blade.
Well, my memory is
they poured it. You know, you pour it like a glass, but this was imagine pouring a cake on, and it wasn't level.
Yeah,
so
right.
One end was very thin, and the other end was so like.
And they poured it on the mall floor, so the mall floor was not level.
Right.
I think the reason was, if I remember, it's a lot of the first glass that we'd barely get it in place, and the thing would just break.
Well, then remember we blew out a real window and knocked a couple of people unconscious. I think
Well,
that could have been a really horrible incident.
I was just thinking about that. I didn't want to talk about it till it showed up, but it was when you were talking about Richard Rubenstein. It was his wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Catherine was sitting there photographing the thing.
Right.
This huge picture window and fell on her, but all the glass fell in a neat little pile around her.
Yeah.
I thought it just missed her. I didn't realize it fell on her.
It was all
No,
around.
it was all
her.
around her. I mean, if she really could have gotten
But she attributed it to a. What's this thing she was wearing? It was like a Jewish
crystal or something.
Well,
you mean a?
It was a Jewish a token. I don't know.
You mean she thinks it saved her life?
Well, I mean,
she had a lot of fortune there.
That's what she said right then and there. She said, thanks for my, and she had it around her neck, you know.
That's ready to shoot. Be careful. The trigger squeeze is real easy, but the weapon will kick you good when it fires.
That was a grenade that went off in the. It was supposed to be a grenade that went off outside that blew the glass in.
Right, but it was supposed to just be all flash and no concussion. And,
yeah, major.
Somebody mixed up the powders. Didn't Don Barry get knocked out there? And...
I don't remember that.
I always loved that little like a cartoon thing, and they come out like cartoon guys, they peek around that corner like coyotes.
Well, Mystery Science Theater 3000 should grab this and put cartoon sound effects in it.
Now, this is in the mall, too, right? The
boiler room was in the mall, yeah. I don't remember where the stairway was.
It was in the mall.
It was in the mall?
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you built fake walls, and you had go down this step, and then we'll show them coming out of this vent,
Yeah. That fake wall, the wall that they break down in the end was actually, the characters build a wall, right? To hide
the entryway to where they are.
So, yeah.
And then that's the wall they tore down, though, right? Yeah.
Right.
Look for the gasoline key.
Grab the walkie-talkie.
That's a running theme, right?
Yeah. Reminded me of it.
That's where they board up, right? They build a wall across the front of that. But did we actually sink that, or was that recess there? I don't. You just.
Oh no, it's still there today. This is right on the right is the community room where we made up all the zombies and kept them and entertained them and fed them.
Right.
Glory. Hallelujah. The mall.
It's Christmas time down there, buddy.
You know, a lot of people like this movie because it still has the ice skating rink in there. It's a fond memory for a lot of people, and it's the only place you can see it. You know, it's actually in a film.
Right.
I was on that ice. I was a zombie on that ice. You know?
Right here.
I noticed the other day when we were at the mall that the ice rink is gone. I don't know when. When did they?
And somebody made a comment to me the other day. Oh, everyone says it's just the way it used to be, and I said, boy, it doesn't look at all the same to me.
No, look at those stores in there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but the fountains are all the same. They're still there, and those little trailways between them, that stuff is still there. J.C. Penney's is still there. Now you've got the Walt Disney store. And all that.
Silly music, huh? Couldn't resist being silly with some of those tracks.
But isn't that part of your point? They're lulled, hypnotized,
right,
into shopping, into being zombies.
Yeah, was that Tasso that just took that spill?
If somebody flipped over into a fountain, yeah.
That was your homage to Clockwork Orange, wasn't it?
Who's
and
this
nobody ever got.
That's Tasso. Yeah.
Oh, so maybe it was him. He falls in, and
then you probably said do something, and he
right.
counted the change. What's this stuff?
But you know, I mean, we did 3 shots on that: the flip, and then the hand with the coins, and then the wide shot. I mean, it's the energy.
Yeah, really.
I mean, now you got to fight for those extra shots, you know. This is a real cartoon stuff here.
What do you think? Bag it or try for it? You game? I need lighter fluid.
Oof.
Well, they could have left those guys alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
being
yeah, got a rubber rifle, hit them.
Jesus Christ. Maniacs.
Well, I got to go have fun too.
Right.
I think that was my least favorite line in the whole thing.
What?
Jesus Christ, they're maniacs. I just hated the delivery of that.
Well, it's the timing. I mean, the other stuff was edited, you know, and it's so
really
quick and clipped, and that stands out because it's the pause. There was no way to get rid of it.
The 1-2.
The old 1-2. It's slightly out of sync too. I don't know what we were using for punch sound effects.
Wasn't there 3 little Chinese guys smacking their hands?
It sure ain't the old John Wayne. There goes Jay Stover coming, big tall guy out there. He's the guy that winds up with the gun. He is actually the first zombie to show signs of intelligence.
Right. He was the guy that was supposed to be the star.
He could have been Bub, huh?
Could have been. There, him.
Yeah.
He's got his foot in the door. Yeah. Literally.
Ooh, I like this gun.
Yeah, that was not a good sound effect either.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh.
Ow. My head.
Is this J.C. Penney?
Mm-hmm. And all the zombies were gray. Or blue, depending on what light you were under.
I thought Scott slid down that thing. Maybe he does that later. Whoops.
I think he does do it later.
Here comes, is this John Harrison?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it is.
Sincere looking zombie or mannequin there. I think John Harrison, one of the zombies that jumps out here, is also worked with us in so many other capacities. Did the music for Creepshow and Day of the Dead.
And he's doing really well now as a director, writer.
What was his Sir What in Knight Riders? His
Pellinor.
Ah.
Wasn't he Pellinor? In the credits, there was a missing eye or an L or something.
I don't know.
Here he goes.
We were really lucky that Scotty was so agile and himself, you know.
Yeah.
Don't they have those things on the escalator now that you can't do that?
Oh, the little
little rear end destroyers.
Oops. Stumble-footed. Very strange sound these zombies make when they get riled. Sort of like a beehive.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember any representatives from the store
No, I don't
being
think
there.
it
Do
was.
you? When we would shoot there?
I don't know. There
There
must
must have been there, but I don't have any memory of that. I feel like we just...
Did anybody steal anything? I mean, I know that some columns were destroyed by drunken zombies in golf carts, but was there merchandise missing?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
We had very, very
That's pretty
few
good.
problems.
That's
Very few
amazing.
problems. We also had real money. Remember, we had all that real cash for the one scene. I think we got it all back. Might have used some of it to pay some of the extras. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I remember there was a bar, the Brown Derby, would stay open until 2 a.m. So it would make up zombies, and they would go up to the Brown Derby and have a few and come back.
Right.
They were a little less stable than others, you know. And I didn't see it, but I heard somebody drove a golf cart into one of those pillars there. Some drunken zombies just took a golf cart.
Pretty good. I think we can move the wagon.
Right. We were riding around on golf cars to get around. It was some big distances.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we were using them to shoot from.
There's my friend Warner.
Oh, Warner Shook.
Yeah.
This guy, very successful. This man won a Pulitzer Prize 2 years ago.
I didn't know that.
For Kentucky Cycle. This is director, theater.
He's the artistic director of the Intimon Theater in Seattle now.
Interesting.
An old friend.
I'm sure he doesn't tell many people he did
Yeah,
this.
he probably doesn't know. This could blow his career.
Well, should we mention he was the jester in Night Riders? Did we already mention that?
Right.
Not sure.
I don't know. I can't tell.
Flyboy.
Well, is it putting a reverb on those guns to make them sound a little... no, I guess we're supposed to be echoey down here or something.
Well, there's a few ricochet. There you go. Here they are. What's he firing at? It's a 22, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it was a little...
I can remember, though, cutting those tapes of those ricochets. I still remember the nightmare of that. Literally, the edits on the tapes. The mag.
We could actually blackmail Warner with this sequence.
He's in Night Riders. He plays Pippin, the MC. Oh, see, this guy, Flyboy is a mess, man.
That's right. John Amplis was the jester.
Right.
Open up. I can get the wagon open. If it's Flyboy, let's get him on our side. Okay.
Flyboy.
Just come up. Be good. Here, you got it.
I remember. I'm probably right now. I'm somewhere sleeping like under an escalator with a sleeping bag. Just to carry the sleeping bag around. I'm going to go to sleep here. Wake me up when the effect is due. You know, because it's in the middle of the night. Nope, I was there.
Yeah, well, you were there for that one, that moment.
My question is, why is his makeup so red there? What did you do with it?
That's a good question. Who knows?
That's a rather strange face.
I don't remember. I don't think we were thinking back then, as we did in Day of the Dead, how a particular zombie died. You know, we were just throwing stuff on, you know.
Well, I thought we always had to kill him in the head, no matter what.
No, before they became zombies. How did they die before they became zombies?
Oh.
Right. And that's what the wounds... Well, I remember constantly thinking that way in Day of the Dead, but here,
right,
I think we're just making them ugly and slapping stuff on.
They died for the first time.
Wasn't this you? That was you.
That's a dummy.
Dummy. No, Ken did not toss me into the fall.
Well, you had a big fall, right? Oh,
yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up
later on.
Later. He's a blades.
Yeah, I got hurt when I first did it. Remember, I missed.
I know you missed and smashed your foot.
Yeah, my both heels. Yeah.
I got pissed off.
Sorry. Damn Tom.
I just didn't want you to be out of commission.
Well, I wasn't. I
Remember
had a
on
wheelchair.
Night Riders. I think I was with you and
Oh,
Tasso
God, that's
out
the
there fencing.
First time he ever yelled at me. I was bleeding from the head. What? Don't you know that? We need you. And, it's just blood trickling down my eyeball. But for this, I was still in the golf cart and in a cane doing effects. No, yes.
Oh no, he smashed your heel or something?
Both my heels will hit the ground. Yeah.
Smashed your heel.
Yeah.
So somebody wheeled you around in a golf cart?
No, I had my own wheelchair and I had a cane or
I have no memory of
as
that.
I was healing.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I healed, we did the stunt again, but
Right.
more mattresses, more boxes.
Well, there's John Harrison.
Yeah. And this evolved from George. Can we how about if we stick an umbrella up some zombie's nose or something?
We could blackmail Harrison on this too.
Now, John, no, he gets recognized, he says. Actually.
Yes, he said.
Really?
Yeah,
he told me.
He told me that.
And for any effects people, we just did this on the spur of the moment.
Completely on the fly.
Yeah, we just took a soda straw and painted it silver and cut a screwdriver off like it is now sticking in his ear and stuck that in there with mortician's wax.
Right.
And used it in this and the straw to look like a retractable screwdriver.
Yeah.
And we pumped blood through the straw so it would come out of his ear. That was the fun. The fun was inventing
that
how
big
to
music
do
there.
things.
Let him know we're here. Come on, let's go over here.
You did all right this time, Fly Boy. How about it?
Look at that gray makeup on the window.
Yeah.
Weekend sales are popping.
There's one line that's almost as famous as I'll Be Back, and it's the Attention Kmart Shoppers thing. I hear that a lot.
Oh, I think I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why pay more when the sales are popping right here?
Who is that? Who is doing that voice?
I don't know.
It
might be Mike.
Is it
No,
Michael
I don't think that
Slowdown?
was. That sounded like a Pittsburgh accent to me. Whoever that was. I don't remember who that could have been. I remember these scenes were particularly troubling when we were trying to get the color right on them.
Because of all those
Because of
carpets.
all the
right?
rugs.
It's like the tone at the beginning of a...
Right, color bars.
Color bars, right?
Mike Gornick and I sat in the lab for 2 weeks, right during 3 Mile Island. I was getting, Chris was calling me and saying, which way is the radiation blowing,
I can remember that.
And there we are sitting there. We went up it was supposed to be just there to approve the print. We were there we were supposed to just fly up and fly right back the same day. We had no clothes, nothing. We had to buy clothes, toiletries, everything.
Joey V, right?
Joey V. And we were sitting in the lab and doing it, trying to get it
Just to
worked
time
out in
this
time,
stuff,
just to time it all. And then we found out that they were in such a hurry to make the prints that they were actually ordering the lab, unbeknownst to us, to go ahead and print reels. So a lot of the work we did was not
for naught.
For naught.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they go in this elevator here? When he pops up, he's at latent image?
Yes.
Downtown.
Well, all the scenes in the actual shaft, these scenes, that's at that's at our office.
Right.
The elevator in our office.
You found it, Playboy.
But again, I mean, the shots, man, the camera must have been in there. This is military music here.
Stephen?
And now we built these ducts, right?
Yeah.
That was also downtown somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this man smiling? Oh, the guns.
And they're looking in a built shaft at the Latent Image offices at a gun shop in Oakland.
Right down here? No, it's right down.
That's right. On
East
Balm-
Liberty.
Yeah.
Palm Boulevard.
Funny, I have a kind of something was a problem there, but I can't remember what it was.
There was no real problem there. I know that sequence always had that's a sequence where I used this library track, which you'll hear as a sort of jungle drum track. And then when Goblin did the score, they tried to do the same kind of feel.
Uh-huh.
But I always like this better. It's a little more primitive or something. Trouble.
I'm by myself with the Hare Krishna zombie.
By myself, and I've only got 8 flares in my purse.
Well, yeah.
This poor Hare Krishna guy was a little too blue.
Yeah. It's the makeup itself was absolutely gray, but sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's gray.
That's also a factor of the timing and the lights.
Yeah.
You know. And this particular coloration of this is what I would call it cool. The whole transfer of this is a little bit cool.
Mm.
It's not quite. It's a little. Well, what we would say in the old days, cyan looking, but it could add a little warmth. Add a little green and orange. But it's really great. It's very clean, beautiful. Womp. Doink. That didn't look too. He was probably afraid to hit Mike in the eye there.
But Mike kept getting hurt.
Yeah, Mike kept getting hurt.
I remember being shot in the leg with a blank at close range, and.
Oh, was that on Day of the Dead? Maybe was it? I don't remember.
No, it was up on the roof.
On the roof?
Yeah.
I think he started wearing goggles.
Well, I remember it was the first time. Of course, after the whole, the tragedy with that people heard about with, on the Crow and all that.
Uh-huh.
But I remember. I mean, for years we've been getting hit by stuff from blanks.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to imagine people not realizing, that.
Well, John Eric Hexum was killed with a blank.
Right.
But Brandon Lee, it was.
Well, not
actually
many people put it right to their head, I guess.
Well, he did, though. So,
I know.
But in Brandon Lee's case, a slug was left in and a blank round put behind it, and it created this super powerful 44 caliber bullet, split his spine in half.
Oh, you
think it was a real bullet?
Well, there's lots of stories, but you put a dummy, you take the powder out of a real to make a dummy round. When they took those shells out and put the blanks in, one of the slugs from dummy round stayed in there, and so it became a bullet.
No longer seek occupancy.
Now that's Mike Gornick. Mike has that perfect radio voice. I detected a little Pittsburghese in that other voice. I can't remember who it was.
The president today has sent to Congress a package of initiatives aimed at what sources call the most sweeping.
She looks what?
Blown.
Blown?
No, I mean.
What do you expect?
Who wrote this? Yeah, she looks blown. I can't imagine why.
Like a gasket or a fuse or a.
3.5, 4 months.
Steve, maybe we should try to get moving.
We can deal with it.
Yeah, but maybe she needs a doctor or something.
We can deal with it. Doesn't change a thing. You want to get rid of it?
I just saw Ken in Texas Chainsaw 3.
You want to abort it.
Recently.
It's not too late.
Chainsaw?
Yeah.
And I know how.
He and Bill Butler.
Really?
Young Tom, yeah. You may not know it from this, but Galen had this great sense of humor.
Yeah.
You should have heard her, and well, I don't know if you did or not. Her and Ted Danson preparing to be the ghosts in Creepshow.
That's right.
They did this. I begged them, please do a take like that. You know, they were doing the Southern accented ghosts from hell thing.
Somebody better
I noticed
watch
Ted
all the
never
time.
puts Creepshow in his credits.
Doesn't he?
No.
It ain't just them things we got to worry about.
Well, Ted, that was in the Leslie Nielsen episode called "Something That Tied You Over."
Uh-huh.
Ted Danson and Galen Ross here were the two people that drown and come back as seaweed
Yeah.
creatures.
Fran, I thought you were sleeping.
Stephen, I'm afraid. You're hypnotized by this place, all of you. It's so bright and neatly wrapped, you don't see that it's a prison, too.
Was this Tony Bubba doing sound too on this film?
Do you know how many times we would have to
Let me
land
see.
for fuel on our
Is
way
he the
north?
blood pressure zombie too?
Yeah.
Yes.
With the Mexican hat on or something?
The authorities would give us just as hard a time, maybe worse.
So much of this, I mean, this is not Foley. There's a lot of those, all those movements and the sound, is all actual production sound effects. I don't know how we wound up separating them for the M&Es and everything. We must have had to fill in. Because we never did Foley. I think Creepshow was the first film that we ever did with a Foley track, which is a Foley track is when you go into a studio and you do all the movements and the leather jackets and footsteps and.
Who did costumes on this? I have no memory of that.
Josie Caruso?
Yeah.
She did all the costumes. Oh, it's my dad!
Yeah, that's your dad.
Wow.
And your mom is in here, and so is her dog. That was our banker a minute ago. Bob Miller.
There's my mother.
That's your mother.
Oh, no.
Didn't she have her dog with her?
Yeah.
Here's the ice rink that no longer exists. That used to be an ice rink actually in the mall. It was not. We didn't go somewhere else to do that. That's where people would practice hockey.
You know what? It does look out of place. You would think it wasn't at that mall, but it was certainly a part of it.
Yeah.
That was Jim Baffico's wife there.
Oh, and this voiceover, who is this? This is
That's Richard France
yeah.
talking. He was also in the Crazies. He was the scientist in the Crazies. Gosh. Well, I always liked that shot. There he is.
Was it his idea to do that eye patch?
I don't remember. That's why you just don't remember them.
They must be destroyed on sight.
That was Dr. Millard Rausch.
Oh, and who's this guy? This...
Actually, isn't his name Howard Stern?
Yeah, I think it is.
And he's sort of similar to, in delivery and style to Howard Stern. It's not Howard Stern, is it? This guy didn't become Howard Stern, did he? He's a filmmaker. He made a film called Gizmo and some other.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Well, the early inventors.
About inventions.
Here comes that truck sequence I'm telling you about it.
Right. On there.
From the point of view of a viral disease, we're doing various laboratory tests to see if they can.
Or Howard Smith, maybe. Not Howard Smith. Howard Smith.
Some kind of a workable vaccine.
Well, I know. Now this is down at the other place downtown is where we had this set up, and that's where I think we almost had a fire. And we were closed in there because we built all these walls. We couldn't have gotten out if we had to.
I see. So then this is where the apartment is built because that apartment, I remember that being downtown.
Right.
What happened with that fire? I can't remember.
Well, thankfully somebody put it out. But I know we wrote the trucks in and we figured that we would be able to, cut it together somehow. But then we had to go to Norwin, or we had to go somewhere else to the truck yard. It wasn't actually visible from the roof of the mall, right?
Right, I remember that. Yeah. That's when we did the trampoline stunts. And
right. Well, you mean, that's when they bring the trucks back, right? Or no, even out there, I don't remember. I know we're Jeannie Jeffries, right? And Donald.
That's right. Yeah.
Donald Rubenstein. No, Rubenstein is back at the mall, I think.
Exactly.
He bites Scotty, right?
Yeah, between the trucks down there. But the Genie thing was out there where the trucks were parked closer together in the yard.
And that became a famous oft-used photograph, that one of Jeannie, too.
Yeah.
The ones you always see are the ones with the head blowing off and Jeannie and...
Right, like blood coming out of her back for the squib. I don't know if you know the story, but speaking of Jeannie, in the community room where all the zombies, it became kind of like a home thing for us. Yeah. And there was a storage room back there. And sometimes you'd leave at night in the snow, be lots of snow, and the drive home was slow. So me and Jeannie and I forget who else, we just crashed in that storage room. The next morning we woke up and there was a board meeting going on in the community room with all these suits, all these guys who own the mall. And the door opens and, we come out groggy-eyed, me and Jeannie, and we just walked out. And I remember
it was probably Eddie Lewis and Mark Mason and those guys.
Because somebody reprimanded us.
Those were the guys, they were the people that we knew that owned this mall. Otherwise, we would never have been able to. We would never have been able to make this movie.
Yeah. But we heard about it that night when you came back to work.
You can do anything you want, guys. Just don't disrupt the board meeting, please. There might be shareholders.
Yeah.
Here we go. BP, the good old BP Trucking Company.
I always love this sequence when we shot it.
And this is also Goblin music.
Yeah, I love this music sequence here. I think this works really well. Do you or no? Do you like this music? Or
yeah. No? Well, this piece of music, the two pieces of music, Goblin, that I've heard so far were my favorite two pieces. So maybe we just put them in for...
Yeah, I thought they were in.
No, I mean, there was a lot... In the release version, there was a lot more Goblin.
You look my size when you're sitting in the truck.
What I want to know is how we both got the same.
These are just stationary shots with somebody shaking the...
Yeah. Yeah. The old poor man's process.
Didn't they?
Scotty's truck is shaking a little more.
He's got a bad alignment on the tires.
Didn't Scotty and Ken just make up those lines? Weren't they just...
Some of them did. Yeah, I remember. I know there was some improv lines. Yeah. Here's this part. We had to do these big daylight scenes, like early Sunday mornings. It was the only day. So Sunday mornings were the only mornings that we could get out early and do daylight exteriors that had, that were wide shots. Because
I remember trying to recruit people, and we always thought we had enough, and then we get out there and
it looked like, I know, yeah. Nothing. We'd have them in the room, and Tom's hands are falling off from having made up so many, and, you'd stick them out in the parking lot, and it looked like eight guys. I mean, you don't realize how vast that area is, until you start to... Well, and there were, really, I mean, there were a few nights when we had a lot of cooperation, a lot of people showed up, and then...
Well, these big day shots were the hardest because there were so many people.
Right. Is that Tasso again?
That's Tasso again.
Tasso... Was Moon Baby around?
No.
Wasn't he around for a little while? Didn't he come around for some of the...
He came later and we bit him. I remember we bit him on the shoulder. But
oh, is that right?
He wasn't around for all of it, most of it.
Wasn't he around the thing that the car drives through, that little kiosk or something? I don't know. I remember. I think these were the first times that you guys would do all those all your horsing around and stuff. And I think the first time I got to know Tasso and Moon Baby.
Well, they went to school together,
right?
Marty and Tasso.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, at Churchill.
Oops.
They were in high school plays together. Bugs are crawling out of their holes. There's Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
Another great thing about this makeup that she's wearing is the blood pump behind it. She suffered. She was like encased in a bag of water, and her skin against the makeup. I remember Richard coming into the dressing room and feeling bad for her, and gave her like a free dinner at the Lamont restaurant. I said, "Can I go?" we ordered champagne and Dom Perignon, had a lovely meal at the Lamont.
Back to library track. And Jeannie still looks a little placid.
There it is.
Nope. Didn't work. This guy, boy, we sure... Do you remember we were talking the other night and trying to remember the pilot's name?
Oh, God, yeah.
If you're out there, write in and tell us. I mean, boy, that guy really, he did so much. Yeah, do you remember his name?
I want to say Dan, but I don't think it was. He was such a nice guy.
Yeah, he was such a nice guy. And we were having this contest the other day about...
I know that this particular piece hit Mike when her face flies off.
Oh, that's right.
It went right to Mike.
Yeah.
And this is me.
Hmm?
This is me with a blonde wig on. And
that was you? Oh,
yep.
that was you falling.
Yep.
Actually, the moment you said that, I could see that piece of padding.
Yeah.
No, that's where Roger gets bit, right?
Oops.
More mortician's wax with
really
string and buttons.
Roger.
That's a kid. Roger. Flipping out.
We got this, man. We got this by the ass.
Roger! Come on, man. Get your head together. We got a lot of work to do.
Let's go, baby. Number 2.
He starts to freak when the blood gets all over him, huh?
Huh?
He starts to go.
Yeah.
Perfect, baby. Perfect.
Well, I guess he was already hooting and hollering and being a cowboy, and then all of a sudden he goes. But that's what we talked about. He's starting to flip out, and then he...
Oh, there's me.
Boom!
The continuity with the blood on his face in this was really a big mess.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But everyone always got confused about that because it's the other window, and they said, well, how come it's not the windshield wipers? People still ask me, they say windshield wipers running, and then it cuts to him and it's not running. They don't realize it's the other window of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't express itself very well. It's a little jarring.
Oop, there's
Crunch.
Boris.
Oop.
Boris the dummy.
Boris the dummy.
Yeah, he bought it on this movie.
Really?
It was too much. It was more than he could handle. He didn't survive it.
Now, coming up, we're going to see Donald Rubinstein, who is Richard Rubinstein's brother, who also a musician who did in Knight Riders and scored Knight Riders and scored Martin. Now,
That particular piece of music there, do you remember on Day of the Dead, one of my crew guys had a tape of it, and every now and then it would come off in the mine. You'd hear it coming out of the mine. That's him there, isn't it? That's Donald.
That's Donald Rubinstein, right?
There's Tasso again.
Oh, it's Tasso that gets him. I thought it was.
Now, I don't know if it's Tasso that gets him. No, because Tasso was just shot.
There goes Tasso.
Yeah.
Still trying to catch the truck.
I shot him again. Again? Oh, God. Yeah, Tasso, I guess so. Let me put 3 squibs on you. You're awake this morning? Did you have breakfast yet? Here, play this guy.
All right, Cooper. You better screw your head on.
Yeah, come on. Let's go.
I mean it, man. Now, you're not just playing with your life, you're playing with mine. Now, you straight?
Yeah.
This is where Mike got it. It was one of these scenes.
Mike Gornick?
Yeah, got the blank, shot in the leg with a blank.
So it must have been one of the close-up pistol shots, though, right, or something?
Yeah.
Or one of these?
No,
here.
No, up on the roof. Up on the roof. It was the
Oh,
rifle.
up on the roof, really?
Yeah, that shot of Galen.
Man.
There. Now, this is the real test. Name that zombie.
Yes. Who bites Scotty?
We bit him twice.
Yeah.
It's probably a hairdresser in the mall. Anybody would walk in, grab him, be a zombie.
I just don't remember who that. And there's Jay Stover, the intelligent one.
Ooh.
Lunk. Maybe was he one of the bikers or something? Just don't remember who he was.
Ugh. See that blood there?
Yeah, that's pretty...
Melted crayons.
I was just thinking, I remember that outfit. That was a big problem, too, with the blood all over this.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be washable.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, even...
No, look. Yeah.
Even dried blood would be...
Brown.
Yeah, brown or... You'd hardly see it, really.
Yeah, it'd be wet, yeah. Well, this is before the days of the Dick Smith formula.
Yeah.
It all depends on how many...
I didn't learn that until Friday the 13th, which the film right after this.
We had more flares. Maybe some of those propane jobs.
Guns are first. Guns and ammunition. You sure you're gonna make it?
Just hurry up with that.
Oh, here that's the jungle tune. This is some jungle tune out of the library with the animal sounds and all.
I learned a lot during this film. I kept saying, how are you going to do that? I mean, you're in the mall, now you're in this thing. I mean, he goes through the grate in the mall and lands in this store, you know?
Right. And after passing through the set piece, right, too, probably. This sounds like King Solomon's Mines here.
Yeah, see, he's not even at the mall right now, and that zombie is.
Right.
Don't try to shoot through those gates. Openings are too small. Bullet will wind up chasing us around in here. Don't worry, they can't get through.
Remember that so fans would really get going on this, on the montage here, and get cheering.
Oh, sure. This is another dream come true.
Yeah.
For a certain type of people.
The only person who could ever mess with this gun would be the sucker with the bread to buy it.
That's Nick, isn't it?
Yep, that's Nick Mastandrea. There he is.
Read out there, sisters. We're coming. And we're ready.
Dun-dun.
Nick with his due. Now back to Goblin.
Yep. And the poster shot.
Yeah. Well, sort of. Not, is it? Not quite.
Well, I mean...
It was staged. It was just so silly wheeling him around in this wheelbarrow. It's great.
Whee! This should be an amusement park ride, or at least a virtual reality thing.
Yeah, it would be great to do some big gun. Hey, Michaelucci.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's Susan Cosgrove. All these people that we know that are...
Let's kill our friends.
Yeah. Oh, all the people that were zombies. Were the superstars. Well, in your Night of the Living Dead, Tom, Gay and Wilson, that's probably...
Yeah.
Was he the biggest name ever to be a zombie?
I don't know. Well, except for Ted Danson, I'd call that guy.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd call him a zombie. Yeah, from Creepshow. Yeah, Ed Harris wouldn't do Night of the Living Dead. No, I'm just kidding. He's a biggie.
Too far. There's no backing out now. We've got to lock those main doors.
Never make off for
There's that little music bridge there. So that's 4 Goblin cuts for you.
Wait a minute, the car.
What?
One of the cars. Why don't you use one of the cars?
There's a thought.
You okay to start it? Okay, let's go.
This was one of the first head squibs that you did, right? On Joey Baffico? Or it was synchronized with the gun and we were shooting from behind the zombie.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the exit wound, right?
The exit wound.
Shooting from behind. That was cool.
Yeah, I thought that really sells pretty well.
Yeah.
Klutz. I say, how can one man be so klutzy?
Ooh. Aim higher. That guy.
It takes Ken so... It's like it takes him a long time to get rolling on with that. He's like one of those cartoon guys, you know, he's got to get traction.
Yeah, the feet are going. Yeah. Oh, this is where she puts her thumb into his wound, too, isn't it? Yeah. Oops.
Womp.
Looks like a tomato being squished or something.
Yeah.
Oop, there it is.
It does.
Her thumb went real deep. Boing!
That one.
That one, yeah, that was cool.
It is Crayola. And it's not even the red, it's the red-orange Crayola. So like
it needs some yellow and blue in there. Yellow and green, actually. Morning, sister.
Yeah.
Oh, here's this woman here. This is one of the first things Tasso did. Was
that's right.
That's Tasso there, yeah.
Armless, stunting.
Back to the woman.
Back to the woman. Back to Tasso.
You can tell by the biceps.
Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what? Tasso.
Oops, that's
Blink.
Tasso. Didn't quite look you can see Tasso there.
The reason he has one arm is because his other one is like pumping the blood out of the eye hole. No remote control in those days.
Resourceful. Remote control. We were lucky to. Oops. Yeah, you can see the little rubber there.
Gelatin hand, yeah. Big seam on that one.
That's another one.
Oh. It was more decayed than the actual juicy.
Right. Well, you know, it had stuck in the door for a while.
Yeah. Blood flow was.
They got no leverage under the truck. I'm hoping they'll just go away after they find they can't get in. I'll get the alarm.
get in the car.
Well, they're sort of committed now to being this mall.
We're okay. We got it made. It's gonna work.
Tasso, you just use him whenever.
Yeah.
Here, Tasso, jump in here and do this.
Because, you know, I done about 16 stunts, and that guy's from CMU as well. 16 stunts, and Tasso should have been, oh, God, let him do it for a while, you know.
Remember, this was way down at the other end of the mall. We were setting off alarms and everything. Whenever we would shoot guns or run the cars or the motorcycles, the loudest sound I've ever heard in my life was when all the motorcycles were in that mall. I mean, the echoing.
However, it never sounded loud on the.
Well, no, you could never duplicate. I mean, are you kidding? We didn't have. First of all, we didn't have the technology, and actually, no one had the Dolby. Nick, is that the one?
That was Nick.
That's the one where the. You know what? I wonder if we made. I was saying, I wonder if we made the crosshair thing on a piece of glass instead of an optical, and that was probably what happened. So if you have the ability to freeze these frames, you can see that blood land on the glass.
I've seen the plate. Bob Michelucci has it. It's part of a. He keeps his appliance in it, and there's a glass plate with a certain. Unless he made it himself, you know. But it's part of this display he has.
Which is what? It's the plate.
It's just a plate with a hole in the center and the crosshairs or something, just painted on the glass.
Big though. That had to be big. That had to be actual size.
No, this got to be something he made himself then, because it was small.
Yeah. See, it wouldn't have been in focus if we didn't. It would have had to been actually closer to Nick than the camera. Trying to remember how we did some of these things.
Unless you were real close, then your depth of field wouldn't matter that much, you know. You have to be real close.
I don't think.
Well, you have to. If blood splashed on it, it would have to be real
close to Nick.
Yeah.
Here we are sitting around trying to figure out how we. Here's this like library. This music belongs in, you know. Big, epic music.
We put up a wall here. This way we can still get to the plumbing.
Why don't we just board up the stairway?
Sooner or later there might be a patrol.
Hear the cuts in those dialogue tracks, the breaths cut out.
I don't want anybody to even know
Wow.
that stairway exists.
I wonder how they. No. Was that just a no needle in the needle, or was that a retractable needle?
We weren't doing retractable needles
no,
back then.
We didn't have the money to do retractable needles.
I think we got somebody out there to give a shot.
Yeah, we didn't do those till monkey shines.
Oh, we had a nurse to give a B12 shot or something, right?
Yeah.
The old B12. Get a nurse, get some B12. Can I have some of that, please?
Fine.
His leg is off and the infection's spreading quickly. Can't we do something? Can't we take him to a med unit?
I've seen half a dozen guys get bitten by those things. None of them lasted more than 3 days.
Peter, where are you?
Right here, Trooper.
We did it, didn't we? We whipped them, didn't we?
That's right, Raj.
Didn't we? Didn't we whip them?
Sure did, buddy.
Wide shots. Remember, we built this in a basically a loft space. I mean, it was not an apartment or anything. So we built these partitions, and outside of the partitions is where the crew and, you know, the donuts and coffee were. And that's when the fire started. We literally, when the last wall would go in, we had no way out of there, and that's why we were worried about it catching fire. And we were able to put the actual skylight up to the roof there, which we matched it to one. What did we do? We built one that we built a duplicate that we brought to the mall of the skylight.
We didn't have any designer on this, did we?
No, people would just do individual jobs here, here and there.
Who oversee?
Like designing.
Did you
Remember,
do
it was in Bill Malone. Well, we all, yeah. I mean, it was all of us. Josie did wardrobe, and I think, everybody was just sort of. It was largely, just using real locations and places that were actually there. And then when we needed to do something like this wall that they're building now, we just had carpenters and contractors that would come in and do it. So, yeah, I mean, there was no real production designer per se.
Who did the apartment, the final apartment?
Yeah, I don't know. You mean who decorated it? I don't know. I think we just sort of all. I honestly don't remember if anybody was actually responsible for designing it or.
Yeah.
Now, remember these freezer scenes? There was one, I guess. I was just reminded that at some point I wrote, prior to writing this script, I had written some early drafts which introduced the idea of using a shopping mall and had them hiding in there. And it was a little more intense than this was. It was heavily on. Some of those sequences that actually went in later into Day of the Dead. Just the idea of experimentation and using the freezers to keep food fresh so that you could, feed these creatures and keep them off you. This is when we actually had real money for this scene. And nobody made off with any. I think the guys from the bank, you can't really see it there, but I think in one of the later scenes, when the zombies are taking over it, you see all this money lying around the floor.
Yeah. Didn't you do that you did it with the alligator too in
right.
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead. Money. And those coins in the fountain with Tasso sitting in the fountain. Money is meaningless, right?
Hmm.
Oop. I don't know. Did we put a cut there because Ken was not able to draw quickly enough? Or... the old ice frame. Manja. That was Ken's ad-lib line, I think. I don't remember now the music that was here on the release version. It's hard for me to... I was playing around with music here all over the place. Organ music and church music.
What do you think?
Manja, there you go. This whole idea, I think really that was the, what I remember going. We just had a little bit of time in the barbershop there, or something, beauty parlor.
Was it this scene or it's a later scene where Galen is making herself up?
That's later.
You were going to cut it, and she wrote you a letter and pointed out some reasons or something, and.
Yeah. These things come back in flashes of memory, and I don't remember.
This is the old at the Leighton Image office. I remember her sitting there, and she was typing you a letter. She wanted to keep that scene in.
A little of this would go a longer way. Less of this would go a longer way. This sequence is a little too long. I'm enamored of it. Some of these zombies sound like, I don't know, what did that sound like? Ooh.
Kong. And these fur coats here, a fur dealer.
Actually, I think you're right. It was Dan Lupovitz who's gone on. He's in California now as, I think...
I'm a producer.
A producer. Does very well.
And his family owned a furrier or something?
I think,
They
yeah.
got us these coats for this scene.
Yeah.
Was it shortly after this movie that he decided to go to California and
Yeah.
do his movies? Wow.
Yeah, and he does really well. He's been doing it for years.
You know Macumba?
And we weren't allowed to bleed on these coats, though. I think is this the only moment that we see these fur coats? These fur coats probably cost more than this movie did to make.
Poor Roger.
What? Looks like our son's room. Mess. Little refrigerator. Some of these things we wound up with. I know the cooking. We wound up with some of the pots.
The bedspread. I'm waiting for that scene to show you the bedspread. I've had it for years.
Oh.
It's the blue and white. It's coming up.
Oh, Scott, I remember what you did. The wrinkly makeup here, Tom. How did you? Was that was just?
Well, it's not here yet.
Not
It's,
yet. Yeah.
When he
wakes up.
After he
it's on.
dies. Yeah, after he dies. It's just stretch. It's called stretch and stipple. You stretch the skin. You sponge on some latex, dry it, powder it, let go of the skin. And everything just bunches up. But the latex makes it just bunch up into a bunch of wrinkles. And of course, the deeper you want those, the more you stretch again and put more latex.
Take care of me.
Here, I think all we did was like shadow his eyes and
Grease his hair up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get those good.
Like bedhead, the old bedhead. His hair looks like the room now.
Like that. Peter.
Peter? Yes, I'm here, man.
You know, the old cello. Boy, I don't even remember this piece of music.
Good to be sure I am coming back.
It's that library as well.
Has to be. I don't think it doesn't sound like Goblin.
Not to. I'm going to try not to come back. I'm going to try. Not to.
Hey, they use maybe
Richard France still on the air.
food available in the human body.
The kind of thing
With that small amount, the body is usually intact enough to be mobile when it revives.
What are you saying? I mean, you scientists.
Dummies!
You're suggesting
Dummies! Dummies!
Excuse me.
And these things were all ad-libbed. Remember, we had these guys that were just able to, do ad-lib dialogue, give them the situation.
Is he drinking a bottle of booze there?
Yeah.
Just noticed that.
And I figured out how to stay alive, too. And I'm trying to help you.
Your calm, helping way. You do irritate people by the illogical way.
Illogical hell. I'm showing you a way.
This does feel longer to me. I mean, and it's hard to, the cumulative effect of how the running time.
What else you gonna do with them? Give me an alternative.
I thought you scientists could come up with an actual way to solve the problem rather than eating the opposition.
Well, I can think of one of the alternatives.
Coming back to life. And this is where he has the stipple makeup, right?
Yeah.
And since we haven't touched upon our nuclear,
But it's funny how, when you work on a film and you edit it usually right after you work on it, you just lose track of things like pace. You can't, you fall in love with things. Very hard to figure out. And now, having seen, you see so many different versions of it, and it's still hard to say, well, gee, is this pacing well? And,
this is not the Republicans versus the Democrats. They've got us in the hole. And
See, now I'd say there's not enough color in that. Dead yellows and greens and browns. It's like one. It's like a mask color, you know, one color.
At least let him finish. Let us know whatever.
It's really all over, isn't it?
Quiet here.
Unemotional.
Quiet.
I always liked that cut from unemotional to that gunshot. Richard is so good at this commentary stuff.
It doesn't work that way. That's not how people really are.
Got to. There's no choice. It has to be. It's that or the end.
That's really nice, that stuff that he did there, Richard France. Considering all ad lib, you know, it was like, and all the footage too. We only had, I think, what, 1 or 2 cameras, and just.
What was that just happened?
What?
We're actually firing.
Yeah, we're shooting real bullets at them, right?
Yeah, I was doing that.
Did you do the firing?
Yeah, close up.
The dinner scene.
Peter, what about you? Where are you going?
This is just for the two of you.
This lighting is a lot different. I remember Augie built like a big,
big moon box or something.
Yeah.
He built a big, like reflector box with tissues and.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
also for the makeup scene. I don't know if did we use it here too? I guess we did. I don't know.
Yeah, look at the difference. I was thinking about that. How did Augie like those huge areas of the mall?
Well, he didn't. We were basically, remember, we got a bunch of fluorescents, I think, that were the same color temp as, so that we would have a consistent color temperature.
I see.
Because you want, fluorescent light bulbs if they're not. Oh, this is the scene with the rings.
So bizarre, these images. I mean,
they're all dressed up.
It's so bizarre, this sequence.
You don't like this?
I just think it's so out there.
Well, they're out celebrating.
What?
I mean,
even now, don't you get the desire sometimes to get all dressed up and go someplace?
Well, if I had dead bodies laying everywhere.
Well, that's true, but I mean,
they put them all in the freezer.
But the desire would still be there every now and then.
They cleaned the place out. Now they're living, normal.
Yeah, as far as they can live normally.
As much as they can.
They're living better than anybody else on the street or wherever.
I mean, to some extent, that's what we do in life. I mean, you have to anymore step over bodies
homeless
to get to the grocery store. So.
What did he write?
Yeah, there's another trivia question. I don't remember. I need to see this projected to me.
What was the question?
What did he write on that typewriter?
What was Jack Nicholson writing in The Shining?
I always sort of, these scenes are meant to, make an exaggerated point of you live despite whatever the conditions are, whether it's whether you're worried about hurricanes or earthquakes or the gangs on the street corner, get past it.
Hey. Great. When you finish the roll, we'll drop it off at the drugstore.
Now, was that in the release version? I always forget what wound up in what version of what.
Oh, there's our sheets.
Oh yeah, that's the ones you were talking about. We wound up with these bed sheets.
You mean when you were eyeing them during the production?
Yes, I was.
much
That
controversial. See, now, having brightened this up, you can actually now see a little more of the nudity than I ever remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice tableau, though. I always like that.
Oh, it speaks volumes. I always liked how you follow her out and you discover the whole big plush apartment for the first time.
Yeah.
I used to wait for that moment in theaters because the audience would react to that.
You could react to it, and you could see it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Boing.
Oh, donated hi-fi equipment and everything.
A listening post.
Remember the listening post?
Yeah. That was a pretty classy turntable, I remember you had.
That was the turn. Everybody wanted that turntable.
Bung Olufsen, one of the first times that any of us ever saw one of those, I think. And did we ever get a good shot of it?
I don't think so.
Well, you get a close-up of the actual head, the needle, whatever. I forget how it works, but it was pretty unusual.
I always liked that tennis ball idea, too. It never quite came off the way it should have, but I always liked the idea of it.
Following the bouncing
ball
down.
Yeah. This really brings you back now to the... Of course, some of these zombies were there earlier. They got several weeks ago.
Look, they're not wearing coats. And breathing vapor.
Well, you know, I remember we actually had to shut the production down. Yeah, these are the shots where, we'd have hundreds of zombies in makeup, and we'd put them out in that parking lot, and it just never seemed to fill up the parking lot. This is the scene where Augie built this Doris Day light box or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
This is the one that she wanted back in, I think.
Yeah.
Attention all
Uh-oh, there you are,
me.
Chris. That is you.
If you have
Blue
a
plate
sweet
special.
tooth, we have a special treat for you. If your purchases in the next half hour amount to
good. You're doing a Pittsburgh accent.
we'll give you a bag of hard candy free.
See, I never thought that was you because of that Pittsburgh accent.
Well, maybe the other one was Mike doing a Pittsburgh accent.
Yeah, I remember focusing on it to make sure it sounds
Make sure
Pittsburgh.
it sounded Pittsburgh?
Yeah, because people like Mike and yourself would have to fake it because you don't have it.
Oh, yeah, there's
there
a
it is,
shot
yeah.
of it. Right.
Neato.
That's right. I forgot that we actually had the...
Oh, I remember thinking that was the greatest thing. And look, here it's a record player. No one even uses record players.
I know. Vinyl. How about it?
They're all up in the attic now.
It's okay. It's a little... it's a dull life. Boring for these poor people. But,
Wasn't it true that at 7 a.m. the music would come on and nobody knew how to turn it off?
Yes.
That's correct.
So
Yeah,
all sound takes were over by 7.
We had to stop shooting sound by 7 in the morning. Although these scenes were, the apartment was not in the mall, so we didn't. But we also we had to actually shut the whole production down for Christmas because they decorated the mall. Suddenly became
Christmas, right?
We broke right at Thanksgiving, and then we came back in
January.
In January or whatever. And that's when we were really freezing on the roof of that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, basically dead winter. And we had to shoot I know there were a couple of mornings when we couldn't shoot exteriors because there was snow.
I can remember that one night on the roof of the mall when the helicopter came in and the zombies were supposed to be out there and people it must have been like sub-zero when the thing was landing in the cold air. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, so it was blowing the cold
Yeah.
air
Wait,
on
were
them,
you
yeah.
up there? You don't remember that? I mean, it was very
because that's the Clayton Hill kick and all that. Yeah, we did some stuff up there.
Oh my gosh, is that our plant?
Yes. We wound up with that plant, and it has lived.
It's in the other room.
Oh, the Dawn of the Dead Museum
Look,
is right
see?
here.
Right there.
You mean it's a live plant?
Yeah, it's
A live plant. And
It's got to be 15 years old.
Yes,
It is.
and it lived. You should have seen me. It lived in our old in our apartment for years. That logo didn't look very good, did it? You can see that we glued that onto the helicopter, the side of the helicopter. Now where is it? on the other side.
Doing.
That's it. You got it. Hon, you got it.
Uh-oh.
Now we know something's wrong. Now that was probably not an optic. Hey, there's Tom. All right. And Rudy Ritchie. Blades.
Blades, yes.
Nobody knows that you're Blades. I mean, does it say Blades in the credits?
I think it does. No, you know what? They think I'm playing a guy named Pasquale because in the credits there's 2 columns and Pasquale Buba's name is across from mine.
Oh, is that right?
So but I was Blades because I had blades everywhere. And Tasso was Sledge because he had a sledgehammer.
Sledge. Yeah. I thought those were just names that we were calling you guys, though. Just as a
well, I'm sure they survived though, because to whoever was putting the credits together. The turning point.
No chance.
So Rudy Ritchie doesn't look like the helmet doesn't quite fit him, though.
No, it really doesn't.
And he keeps.
Yeah, he keeps playing.
There's 3 of us.
I think we should.
Jesus Christ, shut up and listen.
We don't like people that don't share. You just fucked up real bad.
Let's go.
This music sounds like Beneath the 12-Mile Reef or something.
Yeah.
Who's the biker over here?
Yeah. Butchie?
Yeah, Butchie, right.
He's an artist, isn't he? A painter?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These were all real bikers
The pagans.
that we got to come
Bomba.
with their own bikes.
That wasn't Bamba. And there's who was the handsome guy that
Yeah,
was
all the girls in the crew had a crush on that guy.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Just 3, huh?
This was good. You knew something was going to happen. There's going to be a big explosion here coming up. How are they going to do this?
Don't get in.
I remember when we first screened this down. It was the old Chatham Theater that we had
Yeah,
the first screening
yeah.
for the crew and everything. It was really some hooting and hollering that night for it.
I remember you arrived on the balcony and your beard had grown and you had gotten grayer. And I remember saying to somebody, look how great George looks, because you were in California or something shopping this around or
Oh, maybe,
looking
yeah. We were trying to get somebody to distribute it, but which we had a hard time without rating, so. Then we finally got, United Film decided to release it without a rating, which is the only reason that, it survived, I think, because even the European versions, even Dario's versions, were not much shorter, and a lot of the stuff was cut out of it that I really loved. A lot of the humor was cut out of it. So.
You have any memory how we got to United?
I don't remember how we first got to United, no. It might have been, remember there were those other investors, Billy?
There's Bomba.
Oh, that's Bomba. I threw in this, I remember throwing in this, the old trumpet charge. That looked like a dummy.
Oh, no, I was wondering, I thought that was the ceiling shot where the glass.
Oh, you mean when the glass blew in?
Yeah. Maybe that's coming up.
What do you mean when we actually blew the window? It was around here somewhere, but I think it wasn't it when...
Maybe later?
Yeah. The grenade. Well, maybe you were right. Maybe that was...
Yeah, I saw the ceiling panels go, and I thought...
There goes Tasso.
Yeah.
Hey, machine gun.
Lots of headshots.
There's
There's Marty.
Tasso sledge. Is that
there's
Pat
Pat-
Booba?
yeah.
Pat Booba.
Pasquale
Oops.
Booba.
Barry Gress.
Foom. That's Tom and that's
Bamba?
you and Booba and Bamba.
Oh, there's what's her face?
Barbara somewhere.
Wasn't she working with Josie on the costumes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Joe Shelby in the middle there saying the whole fucking thing slides?
No.
Whoever, he was good, whoever.
They're in, Flyboy. They opened the loading docks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy with the hat, it looks a little bit
that,
like
that was Joe, the guy with the hat.
Tony Booba with the machine gun. These people are now all working professionals and no longer playing with electric trains like we were. Tony Booba.
Documentary filmmaker extraordinaire.
These guys are going to have their hands full.
Hey, we're in. Yeah, you know, it must have happened already with that explosion.
Yeah.
Boy, we sure didn't get good coverage of it wherever it was.
This is a sequence, I can never forget this. We're standing up when all the bikes start coming in to the mall, and it was just...
It was
like,
unbelievable. The first, just seeing it happen, and the sound, I'll never forget the sound.
It was so spectacular.
Yeah. Being there. And
right,
it
and
was
now
like
I'm always, every time I've seen it, I'm always like let down because the
Right.
moment was just so
Well,
amazing.
these were the scenes.
Yeah.
That, when we were up on the balcony.
What we
Yeah.
needed, I think, was another camera to get it really close of those
Well, we had
coming in.
to. You couldn't get a wider shot than that.
I mean, to really feel the bikes
Right.
entering.
We were all shooting. I was shooting on 2C. I was just running around shooting footage on a little handheld camera.
Well, you do have them down there. It's something.
Hmm?
I didn't think we had the tight shots like that, but
Yeah. Well, some of these were all, I mean, most of it was Mike, but I remember I was shooting and I think somebody else was shooting. You know, with little handheld, not, you know, with the little 2Cs.
Hey, that's our stuff.
Slunk. Ben Barenholtz. Yep. Amazing.
That guy's a reporter from Playboy magazine.
oh, this was our publicity night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We had a press junket. All these
Yep.
reporters coming out to be zombies and get trumped on. That's Randy Kovitz
Randy
again.
Kovitz again in a dual role.
Dual role. I'm sure Moon Baby was here this night. Here come the pies. and
Roy
the-
Frumkus.
That's
School of
Roy
Visual
Frumkus,
Life.
right.
He did the documentary.
Documented the Dead. That was
Documented-
Catherine Rubenstein.
Uh-huh.
Pat Booba.
Boof, boof, pies.
Two-fisted Pat. There goes Rudy. Almost fell on that pie. Uh-oh, seltzer. Done with panache, my friend.
Yes, always. Oh.
Makeup didn't come off.
These pies sealed it.
There's Moon Baby.
Blink,
Marty Schiff.
Blink. They're having a pie fight down there.
Bible, where the hell are you?
They're still in my stuff. The phone is ringing.
More weapon shots.
Yeah.
Were those shots, I think, that were at the other store?
So you
We
had
just
to
threw 'em
have
in.
done those.
Yeah, and probably just threw them in here. Oh, this was the scene where everybody was worried that we were going to...
Yeah.
Money was going to disappear.
It
But
looks like it's all $1 bills.
well, I'm sure it was, but there were a lot of them.
Yes.
Again, more money than we had.
Ooh. Splitch.
Booths. Who made those breakaway booths? Randy. Again.
Oh,
Oh, man, what the hell are you doing playing around? Someone's upstairs shooting at you.
I'm getting my blood pressure taken.
God damn it, Flyboy, what the hell are you doing?
I forgot he leaves it, but he gets back in it, right? The blood pressure machine.
Yeah. That was a slingshot there for that ricochet.
Slingshot ricochets.
Yeah.
So we're just firing little pellets from out of a slingshot.
Slip clay.
To make
You know, when you look back, it's unbelievable to think that the they let us come in the mall with these bikes and do
I
this.
could never do this again.
I know. Today, are you kidding? With the insurance, whatever.
I mean,
It's unbelievable that they would let us do it. And
did they ever read the script? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I think if you did it again, it would have to be the Mall of America in Minneapolis.
Oh, that one.
Where
Yeah.
was
that
it an
one
amusement
up in,
park?
Oh, there you go, Tom.
Yeah, that's me. The one with the amusement park in the middle of it, you know?
Oh, this is famous.
Oh, yeah.
love a shot, yeah. Lenny Lee's.
Lenny Lee's. That's a famous.
Oh, it looked good, too, there.
Yeah, it did. That was
Oh,
just
Marty.
reverse photography, right?
Yeah,
On the,
we cut a hole in the blade and stuck it on his head and pulled it out. Then we went for a separate shot of just squirting blood through the hair. Ooh.
I remember there's machine gun bursts where those were big deals. Whomp.
Now, I remember cutting that girl's head off, and that is a case where I was asleep under an escalator, and somebody said...
Oh, there's the...
yeah, same technique.
Same technique with a hole in the blade so that it looks like it's in the neck. Or
So you
in
can
the
use
head.
the real person's face and not have
Right.
to deal with a fake head or something.
Yeah. Now those were rapid fire ricochets that sort of worked there.
Yeah.
And this had motorcycles in pennies.
Mm-hmm. The pennies representative could not have been here.
I'm sure they were. I mean, we couldn't have gotten in there on our own. We didn't just walk into pennies.
Yeah,
I
but they
remember
might
this guy wanting to do that.
Somebody left the keys or something.
But yeah, I bet you somebody came up
Yeah.
early in the evening and left a security guard there, went home, went to bed. And then they had their heart attack when they saw the movie. That's me.
There's the scene where you went
me.
through the glass.
That's me.
Now, pretty soon you're going to take a dive, right?
Another ricochet.
There's some bike trail on the floor.
Oh, right.
Tire track.
Somebody making off with a mannequin.
That was Booba. Why would he want a mannequin? And why would well, I guess the bowling alleys are open.
Never broke.
What did we do? That was our big event to
Well, that was going to be a big event, I remember. We were going to actually break a console television. But it didn't break. So then I think we came back with the sledge, right?
Later on.
An afterthought. Uh-oh.
Okay, here comes your scene, Tom.
That's Tasso with you, right? Sledge and blades. This is the fall, right?
The fall and Tasso's beautiful swing off the...
oh, right.
He just really does it.
That was great.
Never finished my sentences there.
Oops. And the lights went out. Somewhere
Tom,
in
you look
between your
good.
two shots. Yeah, look, that manic energy that you have there. There's Marty Schiff. Baby.
That's Marty getting it now. Boom.
Oh, there he goes.
I sent him on ahead, you know. you take a look down there. Whoops.
This is like old home week.
I guess
talking
I'm
about
not
this
going
stuff.
down there.
It is amazing that we were able to pull this off. I mean, we were just a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
We were.
A bunch of talented guys.
That was an improv. You said chase him. He didn't like the chocolate man thing, I don't think.
No.
Well, not that he didn't like it. He made a humorous thing at me later on. You know what's funny?
Whoa!
Zip,
Handoff.
zip. These are all classmates at Carnegie Mellon.
Uh-huh.
The girl that I grab when he shoots me is the same girl that's on the floor that Tasso hits with a sledgehammer.
Is that right? Wow.
This is latent image again, right?
Yeah. All the scenes inside the elevator shaft where.
I remember here those ricochets right there.
Yeah.
I said, let me fire a slingshot at him.
Yeah. But it seems like you could almost see the one coming in.
Yeah.
But this effect was great, I thought, too.
This is an old one that I don't use anymore.
Yeah, you just ripped it up from the...
It's a prophylactic filled with blood, and we just sliced
Hey,
it open,
Tom, here comes your scene.
resealed it, and then yanked it open.
Here's where Tom.
See, that girl right there is the girl Tasso hit with a sledgehammer downstairs. Boom! Whoosh.
See, I was always very much against using slow-mo and stuff. And now I really realize that a lot of that stuff would have been better off with slow-mo.
You mean going over the balcony? Yeah.
Why did you?
I just never liked it. I always thought it was too peck and paw or something. I just never liked the idea of using slow-mo I never saw it as a way to extend action or describe it better. I always saw it as kind of something prurient about it, or just trying to...
Well, I see it as something emotional.
Yeah.
When you see something slow down, it's almost like what happens to you when you're in a traumatic situation.
You're in a traumatic situation.
Yeah, because well, in this case, you really didn't get to appreciate the event that much.
A lot of it,
too
yeah.
fast.
That's me. And that's him.
And that's him.
And there's melted crayons again.
See, if it was in slow motion, we would have been able to see that it was you. Oops. Yeah, our famous, I think that's...
Gotta check my heart, gotta check my blood pressure now. This is brother Pat.
Those are two brothers, yeah, Pat Buba and Tony Buba. Oops.
Pat edited Casino, didn't he?
Yeah, one of the editors on Casino. He edited Pacino's Richard III film. And he did some work on Heat also. He had Heat.
How are you? The elevator. They're all over the place. Climb up top. I'll get you out of the grid in the shaft. I'm coming.
David did do this stuff really well. Yeah. But, and his walk when he becomes a zombie is and here's where we're going to getting into the real stuff here. Oops, I saw a piece of the tubing there, Tom.
Oh, really? I never saw that.
You never
well, there was
saw
no blood either there.
I know, it didn't work. The guy the blood was going into his mouth, I guess, because he took the tubing.
Oh, here it is.
Tasso has gotten himself torn apart quite a number of times.
What is this? Bologna and kielbasa and...
I don't remember what some of it was. Some of it was actual intestines, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, for the effect, I mean, stuff they were putting in their mouth. I hope it was edible.
The thing that flipped me out on that is how people would fight to get to play one of the eating zombies.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over that.
They're tearing them up.
Now that's an actual store elevator, I think, actually in Penny's. It's amazing how we would bounce around. I realize it now. This was a little set that we built down at our office. And I remember having all kinds of problems with the reflections in that wood. I think there are probably, if you have the laser version of this where you can slow it down, you'll probably can see the camera crew in there.
Head hit.
Andy Warhol. It's funny, I don't remember shooting that ending, the alternate ending.
I don't either.
I remember freezing up on the roof under the helicopter when we had the zombies out there on that night scene.
We had big wooden tripod, like over the helicopter, with her body hanging from it, and I don't think the blades were actually going. We actually exploded her head, and there's 3 or 4 of us cut the fish line to drop her body because it was over like a hangman's L.
Wow. And it's the alternate ending where actually she was going to kill herself in the end.
The Galen Ross character.
And I guess Peter kills himself? They both kill themselves, right? Or does he get... I forget how the alternate ending was.
Peter, you mean Ken Foray?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we shot... Now, see, I don't remember shooting that. I don't remember him shooting him.
I remember him... I mean, well, it's still in there where he thinks about killing himself with the little derringer. It's my favorite piece of music here. Out of the library. Called The Gunk.
But did we ever do a blood thing on him?
I don't remember that either. But I didn't remember doing it with her. I mean, I had absolutely no memory of actually shooting that. I remember shooting her and her standing up as though she was going to stand up into the blade, but...
You got a little green.
Fluorescence. The mixture of light. I mean, there were different lights in the store. See those lights right under the orange there? That was probably me. It's great.
The gun's great. So that means way back when we were in the gun store, we brought some zombies in and just had them walk around.
I guess, yeah. I think that's planning ahead.
Yeah?
Squish.
Well, I always remember how when you had that shooting script, you had from the moment you wrote it, you wrote all those scene numbers, all your shot numbers, and George always has the ability to remember all those shots. That blows my mind.
Well, but we were also able to do them.
There's Jay staring at the rifle.
Right.
He's fascinated with that. Well, see, that's definitely a sign of intelligence, as far as I'm concerned. And he's got, that's one of the last images up on the roof. He's one of the last ones we see. He's playing with it.
He actually exchanges it for a better one, doesn't he? A better rifle, yeah.
Go on, get out of here.
Zombie voices. I remember we were doing all these sound effects. We'd get together down in the basement of our old office and record the sound effects. We were doing these voices. I think Mike Gornick is any number of those voices is Mike Gornick. Yeah, that was a Rorschach.
Pretty violent movie.
Even today.
Well, just the other day somebody told me it's banned in Germany now.
Of all places?
Of all places, because that's where it opened strongest of anywhere in the world. In other words, it was not banned when it first came out. It's banned now. And other places, it's only being allowed in now, like the Netherlands and Australia. Places. It's funny how, you know, you sort of remember, and you remember people, and, you know, faces come back to you, and it's just so hard to remember names and who they all were. I know Clayton and Sharon there. That guy going up the ladder now was the weapons guy, right? He was in charge of the weapons.
Yeah.
Him, Clayton Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really an awful situation. It's one thing to have unwanted guests, but to be dead and unwanted dead people walking around.
Right, walking into your. Just when you got the house looking the way you want it.
Yeah, just clean the place, you know.
Oh, that kid that just came out now, he was such a good actor.
Michael Cook. He's a priest. He's a priest now.
He's a priest?
Yeah, he's a Jesuit.
Wow.
Wow.
Here comes Jay. See, he's definitely one of the smarter ones. He's the antecedent of... actually, Jay Stover, he was actually... Wasn't he the production manager on this show or something?
He was in some kind of position like that, yeah.
Right.
And he used to be... used to manage the Joffrey Ballet.
Wow.
Nah, that's it. Decided not to do it. Little...
1, 2.
Oops. Whoops. Oh, ooh, ooh.
Blink, blink.
Knocked the ladder over. I guess I don't know, we weren't able to do that stunt or something? Or we wanted them to keep coming up. Big hero music here.
Is that Zippity Doo-Dah playing?
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it? Zippity Doo-Dah. I don't know, it's sort of hero. Can't try to do his... Oops. There's Jay. He does exchange it.
This is prettier.
Yeah. But he threw away the M16. So he's not that smart.
Yeah. Could have had automatic fire.
All right. I think that's his line, too. All right. But they are...
Do you think in Day of the Dead people expected them to land at the beginning?
I don't know.
I'm just thinking about that.
I was pretty surprised to find Joe Pilato as the captain.
Yeah? Well, he got quite a advance from the riverboat patrol to leader of the military faction.
So, when you look back on this, what do you think?
Boy, I don't know. It's, I mean, I always wish that I could get my hands back on it and do a little more work, you know?
Here, see, Pasquale Buba, Tom Savini.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
That's right. So we didn't have the names of those characters on the blades.
I don't know. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, I'm actually amazed that it holds up as well as it does. But I mean, Tom, it's like Tom talking about the blood. And, you know, you keep saying, if we could make this movie now with the kind of freedom
that we had then,
I mean, it would be hopefully a lot better. But, you know, there's a part of the innocence about it. A part of the innocence that we had and the carefree...
Right. I don't know if you could get that back.
Comes through, and I don't know if you could ever get that back. You might slick it up too much, you know,
Yeah.
and make it a little too.
Exactly. That's part of it. And on the other hand, it is a spectacle too with the mall. We're lucky enough to have the mall.
Oh, we had the greatest prop in the world.
Yeah.
and the bikes and the trucks, and you know those elements.
Oh, look at that script consultant, Dario. I didn't realize he had that credit.
Oh, sure.
Well, it is a classic, or we wouldn't be sitting here doing this audio track for another release.
Right. No, it's actually amazing that you know, it's tremendously gratifying that all three of the movies have gotten so you know the kind of attention that they do. And I always have an affection for this one because it was just you know so much fun.